Okay, so welcome everybody. Ooh. Welcome again, everybody. So we're going to have a holiday with the Buddha for 3 days, Memorial Day, not to remember the people who died in the wars, but to meditate and practice and dedicate the merit for them as well as for all sentient beings. Okay, so we're going to be working on using this book, Good Karma, with the subtitle, How to Create the Causes of Happiness and Avoid the Causes of Suffering. So that's what we will be based on. If you want a copy, it's downstairs in the Dharma items room. Be nice to come up with a better name for that room. Dharma books room, Dharma malas room, Dharma items room. So let's just start out first with a little bit of breathing meditation to calm our mind down. Then we'll generate the motivation, and from that get into talking about our theme for the weekend. Okay, so hands right on left, thumbs untouching. This is in your lap. Yeah. And back straight, like your mother always told you, but you never did. And your head kind of level. You can tuck the chin in just a little bit. And then be aware of your breath. Do not deep breathe or alter your breathing pattern at all. Just let your breath be as it is. The breathing pattern may change during the meditation. That's okay. You just let it be. And then place your attention either at the upper lip and nostrils and be aware of the sensation of the breath passing there as you inhale and exhale, or be aware at your belly and be aware of the belly rising and falling as you inhale and exhale. So choose one of those 2 points. Don't go back and forth between them. And simply observe the sensation of your breath. You can be aware of how your breath is connecting you to the rest of the world, because we're all breathing the same air. And how the breath nourishes us. If you get distracted, don't get mad at yourself. Just come back onto your breath. Just take a few minutes and do that. And then let's cultivate our motivation for being here and for sharing the Buddhist teachings over this long weekend. So, of course, we all want to learn something that's going to be useful in our own lives. But let's expand that and think that by finding something useful for our own lives, that will help calm our mind. May we develop a mind of equanimity towards all living beings, seeing all of them impartially, caring about all of them impartially. And based on that impartiality, may we cultivate love, the wish for them to have happiness in its causes. And may we also cultivate compassion, the wish for them to be free of all undesirable circumstances and their causes. In other words, we want to improve ourselves so that we can be of greater benefit to living beings. So we're not just here for our own welfare, but as a long-term objective, we want to attain full awakening so that we have the wisdom, compassion, and skillful ability to be of the greatest benefit to all beings. So take a moment and cultivate that broad motivation. Okay, so in this talk, I want to, in an hour, plenty of time, give you a short overview of the Buddhist worldview. Wish me good luck. Okay, because in order to understand what the book is talking about, then we have to have that overview. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. So this book here is actually based on a text that was written in India many, many centuries ago, sometime during the first millennia, I think, not sure. And the text was called The Wheel of Sharp Weapons. And the idea there is, I guess the Hindu god Indra had a weapon that was a wheel that had sharp weapons coming off of it. And this was his powerful one, that he threw out to conquer the enemies or whatever. So the idea here is that whatever we do boomerangs back to us. Okay, so this wheel was used as a weapon in war. The idea being somebody antagonizes you, then you attack them back. But here, what we're talking about is not attacking others. We're talking about our own actions and how we ourselves create the experiences that we have. Okay, so it's like the boomerang effect. Yeah, it should be the wheel of sharp weapons. Yeah, the wheel of sharp boomerangs. Okay, because what we're seeing is that things start with us and our own mind. And this is very different than our usual view of the world, in which we see ourselves as one isolated individual that's really here, that is undoubtedly the most important person in the world. Don't you think so? Yeah. Is anybody more important than you? No. Of course, we're too polite to say that in company, but we all know it about each other, don't we? So stop trying to hide. Yeah, might as well admit it. So motivated, by the incorrect way that we grasp how we exist, and motivated by this self-centered thought, yeah, we act during the day, every day, don't we? We act with our body, we walk, we do things, whatever. We act with our speech, we talk a lot, and speech also includes, this great athletic ability people have now of exercising their thumbs very quickly. And also our mind, our thoughts, our intentions. Okay, so we're acting all day long with our body, speech, and mind. And we see the world as something out there, separate from us. And other living beings are out there. Everything exists objectively. We don't see things as related to our mind in any way. And so because we think everything's out there objectively, we think that the way we see everything is correct. Yeah, I mean, after all, we would never be wrong, would we? Who, me? Be wrong? Never. Yeah, so everything I see exists the way I think it does. So if I think somebody else is a bad person, they are inherently bad from their own side. It has nothing to do with me. But I just look at how they behave, and they're bad. They don't keep good ethical conduct. I look at somebody else, and I had helped them once upon a time, and now I ask for their help, and they say no. Oh, awful person. So stingy, so selfish. Yeah. So how we perceive everybody, we think is who they are. Yeah. And we also do this towards ourselves. We have a gazillion ideas about who we are and what kind of person we are, and they range from, well, I'm the best one in the world, to, I'm the biggest failure in the world. And we seesaw back and forth between those two. Okay, but with both of them, we happen to be the star. Yeah. Who's the best one in the world? Me. Who's the worst one in the world? Also me. Everything is about me. Yeah. Isn't it? Who do you think of every day when you wake up? First thought in the morning. Who do you think of? Yeah. Do you think of the people dying in the war in Ukraine? Do you think of people who are hungry in our own country? Yeah. Do you think of people who are wealthy and living on yachts, but also are very unhappy? Do we, who are we thinking about all day long? It's true, isn't it? We're both friends. We can acknowledge this. Yeah, we know it's true. They know it's true too. Okay, so this idea of the boomerang is that what we do comes back to us. Yeah, not the exact action. It's not like I hit you and then you hit me back. Yeah, but if I have a bad intention and I want to cause harm and I do something to cause harm, then sometime later in this life or in a future life, yeah, harm will come back to me. Okay. Nobody dishes out the harm. Similarly, if I do something with a kind motivation that cares about others, that will also boomerang back. And later this life or in the next life, experiencing happiness. Okay. So in this way, we say that we're actually the creator of our own experience, even though our wrong view mind thinks that happiness exists out there. So we need to get certain things and bring that in so we experience happiness. And similarly, when we have problems and suffering, we think it exists out there. Yeah, other people are the source of our problems. And so, we blame them and we try and change them or we try and destroy them, whatever. Okay, and the people who we think bring us happiness, then we want to be near them. So we're always thinking it exists, the happiness and the suffering exist out there. And so during our whole life, what we're trying to do is arrange everything around us so that it's the people and the objects who are going to make us happy. And the people and the objects and the situations that are going to make us unhappy, we push away. Yeah. And that's basically how we live our lives from morning to evening. Now, I know we don't like to think that way about ourselves, but think about it and see if it's true. Yeah. Again, you're with friends. You can admit it because we all will have to admit it. Okay. So then you're going to say, yeah, okay, maybe, but you just mentioned future lives. Huh? What in the world are you talking about? Yeah, I'm talking about future lives. In other words, what we call being alive right now is basically our body, the physical body, and our mind. And here, the mind is something that's formless. Yeah, you can't touch it. It's not the brain. It's not the brain. The mind is the whole experiential part of us. Yeah, the one that cognizes, experiences, thinks, has sense perception. Okay, so life, is the body and the mind being associated. Okay, death is when they go their separate ways. So the body turns into the breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the worms. And the mind goes on to the next life. And what life we go on to is determined by our actions. Okay, so actions, when I was talking about actions of body, speech, and mind, all those actions are what's called karma. Karma just means action. Yeah. So according to the actions we've done and which actions ripen at the time of death, then that attracts our mind stream to one body or another, one family or another, one realm of existence or another. Okay. Now, you might be surprised, or maybe you're not, that Buddhism says that there's nobody in charge of this whole process. There's no creator God, there's no divine being that is controlling the whole thing. Rather, everything originates within our own mind. Okay, so if we harm and we experience suffering in return, yeah, we created the cause, we experience the result. There's nobody outside who's punishing us. Suffering is not punishment. This is quite important because if you grew up with a theistic religion, very often you're taught that suffering is punishment for doing bad things. In Buddhism, it's not a punishment, it's simply a result. Yeah. The idea being that if you plant chili pepper seeds, you will get chili pepper. You won't get daisies. Yeah. If you plant daisy seeds, you'll get daisies. You won't get chili peppers. Okay. So who's planting the seeds? Yeah, it's us. Yeah. And the results that come are simply the result. When the daisy blooms from the seed, yeah, we don't say, well, maybe some people do, say that God made that happen. We just say the daisy is a result of the daisy seed and the chili pepper is a result of the chili pepper seed. So there's no idea of a reward and punishment in Buddhism. This is quite important, really, because we have all sorts of ideas from how we grew up that if we really investigate them deeply, they don't make a lot of sense. Yeah, so we have to look at these things again and again. But this is the Buddhist worldview and how we are going to be relating to things here. Okay. So it's what we experience is kind of up to us. It's up to us in two ways. The first way is the karmic way. In other words, what actions we do will bring our different results to us. Okay, so we're involved in creating our experiences. The second way we create our experiences is how we're thinking and feeling during this lifetime. So you can see when you are in a bad mood. Have you ever noticed when you're in a bad mood, all these people come up and bug you? Yeah, just on the day when you're in a bad mood, you want to be left alone or maybe have some compassion. All these jerks show up just on that day. You ever notice that? Yes, no, yeah, they all show up that day. But on the days when you're in a good mood, you happen to meet so many nice, kind people. Have you noticed that? Amazing how that happens. Yeah, totally amazing. Have you ever noticed that our thought about a situation influences a situation that we haven't been in yet, that we're going to go in? that our thought about a situation influences our experience in that situation. Okay, so I think we've all been in the situation of going into a group where you don't know anybody. Maybe some of you are here for the first time, you don't know anybody. Okay, now some people come into a situation where they don't know anybody and they're going, I don't know anybody, but I think all these other people know each other. Look, they all have the same clothes and the same hairdo. They, they must know each other. And I'm coming into this and I don't know anybody. So they're already a clique and I'm already on the outside. And you haven't even arrived at the Abbey yet. But this is what's going on in your mind. Okay. Another person, they don't know anybody here. They're coming into the situation for the first time. And they think, wow, this is going to be really cool. There's all these people I don't know who are going to have so many different ideas and different experiences. And it's going to be good. I can learn a lot from them and really, think about some new ideas. Okay, so you have those two people. One person is sure that they're not going to be accepted. They're going to be on the outside. They're going to be lonely. The other person is interested in others and they think they're going to have a good time. Yeah. Guess which person feels lonely during the course and which person has a good time? Yeah. It depends specifically on what they're thinking. Yeah. With their attitude when they're going into the situation. So that is also a very crucial way in which we create our own experience. If we change our attitude right here and now, how we experience the situation changes. Yeah. It's quite interesting to observe. Yeah. You want to get rid of all those jerks who bother you? Yeah. Change your mind. Yeah. Cultivate a kind attitude that's willing to learn from other people and give people a chance. It's amazing how that changes our experience. Yeah. But if you want to feel like you're the only one who doesn't fit in, that's your choice. That's your prerogative. You may have that idea before you enter everything. And so your whole life kind of, you feel like that. Yeah. So we can think whatever we want. It's a free world. But what we want to do is look at the results of our thoughts. Look at the results of our speech. Look at the results of our physical actions. Yeah. The Tibetans have a little slogan, kind of. If you want to know what your past life was, look at your present body. If you want to know what your future life is going to be, look at the state of your present mind. Okay. So what that means is the body, we're born as human beings this time. Okay. That is considered a very, very fortunate rebirth. Extremely fortunate, because we have the ability to use language, to learn, to think about things. We can encounter the Buddha's teachings, we can understand them, we can think about them and practice them. Yeah, that's considered something very, very fortunate. Now, you'll hear us talk about our we have lots of friends here who are not human beings. We have 4 kitties. Yeah. We have deer. Yeah. There's moose that usually come in the winter, not so much now. We have ticks. Oh, those guys, they're so cute. They love you to death. They just cling on, and don't let go. So be careful. Yeah. If you don't like clingy beings, then, you can just pick them off. You don't have to kill them. Just pick them off. Don't throw them on the paths where we walk. Okay, please, because they'll just jump on somebody else. But take them a little far away and then, put them in the grass somewhere. Okay, you can pinch them. They're very strong. They will not, they don't get crushed. Yeah. What else do we have? We have deer, ticks, turkeys. Yeah, you missed the turkey season. Yeah, all year round we have turkey season, but beginning in the springtime, there you see, just like in high school, there's a prom in the spring. Well, the turkeys also have prom, so they have to figure out who is going with who to the turkey prom. So it is a big deal here. Okay. All the boy turkeys spread their feathers. Yeah, they think they're beautiful like peacocks, but actually they're just turkeys. And they spread their feathers and, have this red thing that comes down, and they turn green in the face, and they strut around like they're, like really these really important people, and the girl turkeys totally ignore them. Totally ignore them. It's like, who are you? Leave me alone. So this goes on for a few weeks until they figure out who is dating who and go to the prom. And then they go out to the forest. Okay, just like teenagers do. Yeah. And then in a few weeks, we'll see the chicks. So, yeah, we also have skunks. And chipmunks and squirrels and bunnies. Oh yeah, we have the cutest bunny. I saw Dawa in Double. Yeah, Dawa is the name of our first bunny. Okay, but day before yesterday, and then also yesterday, I saw Dawa and his friend. Yeah, or her friend, I don't know. Yeah. So we have bunnies, we have all sorts we share the land with other living beings. Yeah. They have what we call unfortunate rebirths because, it's very difficult for them to learn. Yeah. They learn what they need to learn to stay alive, but to think about anything spiritual or philosophical, to think about how do I exist? How does the world exist? They can't do that. And so, for example, with our kitties, you'll see us, we take kitties on leashes. If you've never seen a kitty on a leash, this is your first time to see it. Okay. If we leave them off the leashes, they run and they chase the chipmunks and the squirrels and everybody else and kill them. Not because they mean bad, but just because they're moving and they think it's going to be fun. And of course, it's not fun for the chipmunks. And we have moles and voles too, and lots of different kinds of birds. So we try and tell the kitties, other living beings want to live as much as you want to live. So don't chase them, don't bite them, don't kill them. Yeah. So we teach our kiddies this. Yeah. And our kiddies, after this great Dharma lesson, look at us. What are you talking about? You know, give me some food, play with me. That's all that's important. Yeah. They can't understand, you know, just that simple thing that other beings want to live as much as they want to live. Yeah. So as human beings, we can understand that. We can put that into practice. But there's also a, what do you call it? Something to be careful of. We have the human intelligence that can think about these things and develop an ethical code, develop values and principles that we live by. But we also have the ability to use our intelligence in a very harmful way. Yeah. And develop weapons of war, nuclear weapons. We you know, it's amazing. And we have the ability to just crave power no matter what we have to do to get it, and to demonize other people and traumatize them in the process of gaining power. Yeah. So we have the human intelligence, but how we use it. Sometimes for good, sometimes we create a royal mess that is more horrible than what any animal can do. Because the animals usually only kill if they are in danger or if they're hungry. Human beings kill for sport. Yeah. We kill, yeah, when we're afraid. We kill for leather, you know, the hides of the different animals. So we have to be careful how we use our intelligence. Okay. So that's kind of a little bit about the Buddhist worldview. I should say that, well, there's another important element here, is when we talk about rebirth, yeah, and our mind stream going from this life to another, depending on our actions, on our karma, we call that whole cycle samsara, or the cyclic existence, meaning that as long as we remain ignorant about the true nature of how we exist, then we continually create actions under the influence of ignorance. And our ignorance, you know, gives way to clinging attachment. It supports anger and jealousy and arrogance. And it also supports many of the virtuous activities that we do, because we don't really understand how we exist. So as long as we have this fundamental ignorance, we get reborn again and again and again. So that's called cyclic existence. So it's like being on a merry-go-round. Yeah. You get on the merry-go-round, you're on your little horsey. Some of the horses go up and then you go down, and your horse goes up and the horse goes down. So similarly in cyclic existence, depending on our karma, sometimes we have good rebirths, yeah, then some horrible karma that comes from our own action ripens. We have an unfortunate rebirth and a good one, and unfortunate rebirth. Yeah, so this is all under the influence of our ignorance and our karma, the actions that we create. So this continues ad infinitum, like being on that merry-go-round that never stops. Yeah, until we realize, oh, I'm on a merry-go-round and I'm sick of it. I want to get off. Yeah. It's like, okay, sometimes I'm up on the merry-go-round. I have a good view. It looks nice. Sometimes I'm down on the merry-go-round. It's pretty horrible. But just that situation of being born again and again under the influence of ignorance and karma, it's like, wait, I want to get off of this. Okay? And so how do we get off? Well, since the ignorance is the root of the whole problem, because we misapprehend how we exist, how everything exists, then wisdom is going to be the key, because wisdom sees how things exist. Yeah. Wisdom can tell the difference between virtue and non-virtue, what creates good karma, what creates bad karma. Okay, so the way out of this is generating wisdom. Okay, so that's kind of, our first motivation was, let's just have a good rebirth. Let's be on the upswing of our horsey. Yeah. The second motivation is, let's get off this merry-go-round altogether. Yeah, let's get out of cyclic existence. And then the third motivation is, well, I've been on this merry-go-round and I look around and there's all these other living beings on the merry-go-round, each one on their own horse, going up and down and up and down. And all these beings are just like me. They want to be happy. They don't want to suffer. And in the process of us all going up and down, they throw me some sweets, I give them some sweets. We communicate, when our horses are aligned at the same level, then we share things, we smile at each other, we help each other. So can I really get off the merry-go-round without caring about all these other people or other living beings who are on the merry-go-round? That's not too cool, is it? Just thinking about me. Okay, so at that point, then we develop what is called the bodhicitta, the heart of love and compassion and altruism that we extend equally to all living beings. Yeah, this impartiality is quite important. And that becomes even a stronger motivation. We want to get off this cycle, but we want other people to get off too. We're not just working for our own benefit. We can't, because the whole time we were on the merry-go-round, other people gave us food. Yeah, when our horse got broken, somebody fixed it. They cheered us on. They smiled at us when we were down. So, we want to do something to repay their kindness. Okay, so those are like the 3 levels of motivation that we sequentially generate in Buddhist practice. Okay. So, questions so far before we go on? Oh, I'm glad it was all 100% perfectly clear. Gee. Okay, well, since this is all makes sense to all of you, I'll just go on. Okay, so this text uses that image of the wheel of sharp weapons that goes out and comes back. Okay, and it has different cycles. So I started teaching the text last year, or maybe it was the year before.
2021.
Yeah, 2021. And we got as far as page 47 in 2 years. Okay, so we're not going to finish the whole book this time. But the way the first section is framed is the verses talk about it gives us a suffering situation when we're miserable. Then it says this is the weapon of destructive karma turning upon me. It's that wheel of sharp weapons coming upon me. Then it tells the general kind of action that we probably did in a past life or maybe earlier this life that causes, or has caused the difficult circumstance that was named in the first line. Okay, so the first line is the situation we don't like. The second line is saying, look, it's the boomerang, it's a result of our own actions. Third says, this is the kind of action that I did in a previous life that created that karma. And then the fourth line is the remedy, how we practice when we're undergoing this difficult situation. Okay. So lots of times, when we're suffering, when we're unhappy, we say, why me? Yeah, have you ever noticed that? Why me? Why do I have this sickness? Why is my family a mess? Why, can I not remember things? Whatever it is, why me? We always do that when we're unhappy and suffering. When we're happy, do you ever say, why me? We never say, why me? We say, bring it on. I want more happiness. Yeah, when we're suffering, what did I do to deserve this? Yeah, that was one of my mother's phrases when I was naughty. What did I do to deserve a kid like you? Yeah, well, that was up to you and Dad, Mom. Don't ask me. But, why me? Why am I stuck with this unpleasant situation? Well, we created the cause for it. That doesn't mean we're bad people. Okay, suffering is not a punishment. It doesn't mean we're bad people. It means that we did something harmful in the past. Okay, but if we can learn from whatever we did that was harmful and change our ways and generate different kinds of emotions and thoughts, and then therefore actions and behavior, then we can change the whole situation. Okay, so that's up to us. So how I came across this text, The Wheel of Sharp Weapons, was in 1976. Okay, I was at Kopan Monastery in Nepal. Some of you may have been there. So Kopan has, I think, rebuilt every single building that was there since I came, which is good, because the building that I was living in 1976, it was maybe 3 or 4 stories, all made of wood. The floor of, if you were on the 2nd or 3rd floor, the floor was just wooden planks. Yeah. And that was also the ceiling of the people who lived below you. So when you swept the floor, the people below you got a present. Not one they wanted, but it was That was the situation. Okay. There were no flush toilets. Okay. So the toilet that you went to was actually a big hole in the ground with some mats around, not nice mats, but straw mats on all four sides. And the hole had two boards across, which is what you stood on when you did your business. If it was nighttime, you better be very careful of getting your feet in the proper place, because down in the hole was other people's offerings. Okay. So here I was living in the dorm, this room like that. And the bathroom was, you had to go out and then walk down a path and then to the so-called toilets. So I got hepatitis, which is the one that comes, A. Okay, the one that comes from unclean food. Yeah. So when you have hep, or at least when I had hep, I was wiped out, totally, completely wiped out, So I just lay there on the boards of the floor in my room, for day after day after day, because I had zero energy. Getting to that so-called toilet was like climbing Mount Everest for me. It was, I don't know how I did it, but you have to get there and get back. Okay. So there I am like that. You don't have much appetite, and liver is associated with anger. So and also you're sick. So you're kind of in a bad mood. So I'm lying there. So one of my friends comes in with this thin little booklet, called The Wheel of Sharp Weapons, and it had a short commentary by Geshe Namandarge written in it. And they said, here, read this. So I'm lying there, managed to lift the book up and start reading, okay? And then I came across verse 10. Now, before, because I met the Dharma in 1975, so 76, I was pretty new. Yeah, it had been actually under a year since I had started learning Buddhism. So when I had heard about karma, I thought I should get my ethical conduct intact. I should kind of work on my attachment and anger, and I should try to be a good person. But I thought I was already a good person. Yeah, everybody should like me. That was my first rule of the universe. Yeah, because I was a good person. But I was sick and I was miserable. Okay, so I come across this verse. Oh, yes, it's verse 9. I'm sorry. Thank you. It's verse 9. I read the first line. When my body falls prey to unbearable illnesses. Are you talking about me? Are you talking about Hep A? Yeah, I think so. When my body falls prey to unbearable illnesses, it is the weapon of destructive karma returning on me. So it's not the fault of the cooks. Yeah. Well, the cook in the kitchen at that time was one young man. He was late teens, early 20s. He ran the kitchen. Really nice man. And all the people chopping the vegetables were all the little monks, little kids Yeah. Yeah. So do little kids wash their hands very well? Yeah. So they were the ones chopping the vegetables and serving the food and making the bread under the supervision of the cook. So the first thing, when you get hep is, who is keeping an unclean kitchen? Who didn't take care of the food and wash it properly? Who didn't wash the dishes properly? I got sick because these people made a huge, they're ignorant, they didn't do that. It's all, my sickness is their fault. My suffering is their fault. Okay? Yeah. And here it says, when my body falls prey to unbearable illnesses, it is the weapon of destructive karma returning on me. That means that I put some negative behavior out there to somebody at some time. And now it is coming back to me. The boomerang's coming back. And how's it coming back? In the form of hep. Okay. Then the third line says the kind of action that I probably did that created the karma to be this sick. Okay. Is the weapon of destructive karma returning on me for injuring the bodies of others. Oh, you mean I'm sick because I caused physical pain to somebody else? Yep. But what did I do? I'm a nice person. Yeah, I was totally anti-war during the Vietnam era. I didn't kill anybody. I didn't support the war. Yeah. But I love swatting flies. And in the summer, when there were flies around, my brother and I would have a competition of who could swat the most flies. Yeah. And I also thought, because my parents had planted a garden, and there were all these snails coming out and eating the plants. And so I used to take the snails, put them all in a big pile in the gutter, and stomp on them. And I thought what I was doing was such a good deed, helping my parents grow a nice garden. But what about the experience of the snails? And what about the experience of the flies? Yeah. So for injuring the bodies of others, yep, I did that even this life. Who knows what in the world I did in a previous life? Yeah. Because we look around and we see people doing all sorts of things. Yeah. And maybe I was the leader of a country also that started a war with another country. And I may not have killed anybody directly, but by sending people into war to kill each other, I create the karma of killing for each person in that war that was killed. Yeah. So leaders have a lot of power, but they can create a whole lot of destructive karma. Mm-hmm. So who knows? Maybe I was some kind of leader like that in the past. So this made me really stop and think. Yeah, my sickness is not the cause, is not the result of the cook and the little monks in the kitchen. They were the cooperative condition, but my actions of injuring the body of others, which I've done even in this life, let alone who knows what I did in previous lives, that is the principal cause of the sickness. Yeah. So my mind at that point really changed. Instead of I should create good karma, I should get my ethical conduct in order, all these shoulds that I never did, because I began to realize the link between my actions and my experiences, the shoulds changed to want to. I want to practice ethical conduct. I want to stop harming others. I want to be kind to others. So there was a big change in me. Yeah. And looking back on it now, I'm very happy that I had HEP, because it caused this very important change in me. So that I wasn't just believing in karma and its effects, but I was actually personally experiencing it. So then what's the remedy to this? Okay, well, first of all, the clear remedy is stop harming others physically. Yeah, because if you do that, you're just going to create more karma to get more of the above. Okay, so, or stop harming others in any way. If I had gone into the kitchen at that point and made a big fuss, what are you people doing? You are the little kids chopping the vegetables and making the bread. Yeah, they're not washing their hands properly. How come the abbot of the monastery isn't taking charge of this? I got sick, blaming everybody, creating a royal fuss. Okay, I could have done that. Yeah. I mean, I'm American, and Americans do that when we don't like something. Yeah. Yeah, nobody's going to boss us around. So I could have done that. But then I said, if I go in and create a fuss and yell and scream at people, it's going to hurt their feelings. It's going to cause a lot of chaos in the whole monastery. Yeah. So that wouldn't be such a good idea to go and do that, even if they were the cooperative condition. Yeah. Because what they did was already done. Me creating a big fuss would not have helped the situation. It would have only created more negative karma to experience more suffering in the future. Yeah, and I didn't want to do that. Yeah, it's like, I think I have enough suffering, why help myself to more? So getting my ethical conduct in order, that's something that had to be done. But the fourth line here, the practice, the solution, it says, from now on, I will take all sickness upon myself. What? I'm sick. Okay, it had to do with my karma, but it's also, they didn't keep the kitchen clean, huh? And the remedy is to take all sickness upon myself? Huh? Yeah, I don't want to take sickness upon myself. I want to take happiness. I want happiness. Yeah, because how do I live my life? Whenever there's a problem, you can have it. Whenever there's happiness, I'll take it. Yeah? Do you live your life like that too? Whenever there's happiness, yeah, I'll take it. Whenever there's suffering, you can have it. But here it's saying to take the sickness upon myself. So this doesn't mean that I go out and I look for sickness and deliberately make myself sick. Okay? There's no idea of self-torture in Buddhism. Okay? It's interesting because in some spiritual practices and some religions, people feel that the more they harm themselves, the more they suffer, the more they're atoning for the harms that they've done against others. Okay, so you get the practice of, what's it? Self-flagellation with what kind of? Yeah, hair whips or something. What? Cat of nine tails. It's called leather straps. Leather straps. Yeah, beating yourself. You know, people walking on fire, people sitting in ice cold water, people, doing all sorts of things of self-torture because they think that that's going to purify the negativities they've created in the past. Okay, Buddhism does not agree with that. Okay, yeah, suffering comes of its own accord. We don't have to go looking for it. Okay, and so making ourselves suffer, no, that's not good. But when suffering comes to us uninvited, like my hep came to me, okay, then how do you practice? Okay, well, you don't blame other people. What do? You think of all the other people who are in physical pain. And you think, oh, as long as I'm suffering, may that suffice for the suffering of all these other people in physical pain. Okay, so as long as I'm miserable, may it suffice for the misery of all the other beings. And there's even a visualization that comes with this, okay, which is you would, well, there's many ways to do the visualization. So one way, yeah, is to imagine in the space in front of me, everybody, let's say, who had liver disease. Yeah. And if you think around the world, there's a lot of people suffering from liver diseases right now. Okay. And I know what that's like. So may I imagine taking their suffering from them and experiencing their suffering, and imagine giving them whatever good conditions and happiness I have so that they can heal from their liver diseases. Okay, so this is a meditation that you're doing using imagination. Yeah. May I take on their suffering and give them my happiness. When you imagine taking on their suffering, you don't just imagine, oh, I'm taking all the suffering of liver disease throughout this whole planet, and I'm going to experience all of it, and then, I'm going to die. Why am I doing this? This is ridiculous. Yeah. But you're doing it with your imagination, and the purpose is to increase our compassion. Yeah, I'm have hepatitis anyway. Can I imagine taking on the liver diseases of all living beings? Yeah, I'm taking it on with my imagination. When I take it on, I don't sit there and get sick. Yeah, first of all, because I can't experience the results of other people's karmic actions. Okay. So I can't experience that. But when I take on their suffering, I don't just sit there and go, okay, now I imagine, okay, I'm not going to really get sick because I can't experience their karma, but now I imagine having the hepatitis of every person on this planet. No, when you take on suffering, okay, you imagine it leaving the other people, like in the form of some kind of black smoke or polluted substance of some sort, okay? And you deliberately inhale it. But you don't start coughing in the middle of your meditation, okay? Because at your heart, you imagine this lump of your ignorance and your self-centered mind. So those two things, the ignorance that doesn't understand how we and everything exists, and the self-centered mind that thinks I'm more important than anybody else, and everybody else I'm more important. Yeah. So that you imagine at the center of your chest, your heart chakra, that lump of ignorance and self-centeredness. When you inhale their suffering, yeah, for example, like some kind of smoke, then as it comes into you, it changes into a thunderbolt that hits at that lump at your heart and completely blows to smithereens your ignorance and your self-centeredness. So you're imagining taking on the suffering that other beings don't want and using it to destroy what you don't want, your own ignorance and self-centeredness. Okay? Is that understanding that? Yeah. So sometimes some people don't like the image of striking it and blowing it up. Some people like more the image of it comes in and it's some kind of organic soap that then dissolves the lump at your heart. Okay, so it's not striking it, but it just dissolves that, like super duper organic soap. Yeah, no residue. Yeah, if you save the coupon, you can get some more. So, yeah, so that's the first part, the taking part. And so when it destroys that lump of your own ignorance and self-centeredness, then at your heart, there's just open space. And you know how when we're unhappy or when we have a strong emotion, we feel it here? Yeah. So all that unhappiness, all that feeling of not being happy with ourselves, not being happy with others, being so self-critical, being so critical of everybody else, all of that disappears. And there's just this incredible open space filled with light right here. Yeah. Okay, so you've taken on their suffering and use it to destroy what you don't want. But you don't stop there. Then you give what you have, you imagine giving what you have to all those living beings so that it, in this case, would cure their illness, yeah, and then become all the good conditions for them to have to meet the Buddha's teachings, to understand them, to practice them, to create all the good conditions to create virtuous karma, and get themselves out of cyclic existence. So when you're giving them all these things that they need to starting with physical health and then going on up through having a happy mind and a wise mind and compassion and everything else, what you're visualizing is your body, can transform and manifest as whatever those people need. Yeah. So what do those people need? Well, they need doctors, they need nurses, they need a support team to help take care of them. Okay, so you imagine that you transform your body and give them all those different people who will help them recover. But you not only give them, imagine transforming your body and giving it to them. Okay, so your wealth, all your possessions, all the stuff that you collect that you don't want to share with anybody else. You now are going to take all of that and transform it into what those people need. So what do they need? Medicine. Well, there isn't actually very good medicine for HEP. There's in Western medicine, forget it. But there's good Tibetan medicine for HEP, and there's good Ayurvedic medicine for HEP. So you imagine taking your possessions, it transforms into whatever they need, the medicine they need. Maybe they don't have HEP. Maybe they have liver cancer. They need some other kind of medicine. But they need a surgeon maybe to do a liver transplant. So you imagine manifesting all these things, sending them out and giving them to these people. So you give them your body, transformed into what they need. Sorry, I have the hiccups. Your wealth, transformed into what they need. And all your virtue, all your good karma. You imagine giving to them, because when they have that virtue, they have that good karma, then their future will be bright and sunny, and they can work, start to work to get out of cyclic existence and to take everybody else with them. Okay, so you're taking their suffering, using it to destroy what you don't want, giving them your happiness, your body, possessions, and wealth, and virtue to them, so that they may have happiness and recover. Okay? So this is a whole meditation that you do. And that meditation, the first section of the book, I forget how many verses, but quite a few, all end with that meditation, doing that. Okay? So, usually when people start, it's like, well, I'm imagining taking on their suffering. What happens if it works and I actually get sick? Yeah. Well, this is why this meditation is to help us develop compassion. Instead of worrying, oh, I'm going to take it on and I'm going to get sick. We meditate on compassion, and here's somebody else who's suffering. Wouldn't it be good if I could take it on and they could be free? We aren't used to thinking things like that. Okay, but when there's people we really care about, do you want to take on their suffering and give them your happiness? If you think of somebody that you really love very much, that you care a lot about, you would do almost anything for them. Okay, so here Yeah, we ordinary beings will do almost anything for the specific people we care about. But in Buddhist practice, we're broadening that to we care about all living beings. We're not just going to be focused on our friends, our relatives, the people who are nice to us, the people who agree with our political views, the people who give us presents. Now, we're not just caring about those people who are nice to us. That's easy to do. Yeah, even animals help their friends. Yeah. I remember being so shocked when the first Dharma course I went to, my teacher said, yeah, we're human beings with human intelligence, but sometimes we act just like animals. We help our friends and harm our enemies. Except we harm the enemies more than the animals do. Yeah, but it's true. So he was saying, helping your friends, that's good, but it's not, this distinguishing characteristic of being a human being, because the animals, our kitties love us because we feed them, right? Yeah. Even Dawa the bunny loves us. He's not afraid because we feed him. The turkeys, not afraid. The deer, yeah, aren't. So that part's easy. Yeah. To help, the animals like the people who are kind to them. We like the people who are kind to us. But it's really more fitting of human intelligence to develop the ability and the thought that all living beings want happiness and not suffering. And so I really can't put them in priority according to who deserves the happiness more and who deserves suffering. Yeah. Because sometimes we go, what? But those people of the other political party, they should have suffering because what they're doing is destroying the country, and they're canceling Medicaid for all these people who are sick, and they're making a mess of our education system, and they're taking away our religious freedom. And those people should suffer because that will teach them a lesson. Do you think punishment works? Yeah. When you were a kid and you got punished, did it work? Not just to change your behavior, but to change how you thought? Yeah. Punishment can work to change behavior because we fear the physical punishment. But punishment doesn't necessarily change our way of thinking. And it's our way of thinking that is the most important thing to change. Okay, so if you really rejoice at other people's suffering, because you think that'll learn them a lesson, that'll teach them a lesson. And you're sitting there waiting, when they send that indictment, boy, I am gonna jump through the ceiling. Oh, yay! Somebody's gonna suffer. Yeah, and if he suffers, he'll be out of commission. But then we get another one who's even worse than him. Well, may he suffer also, And then we spend our whole life wishing people suffer. Yeah. But of course, those people disagree with us, so they want us to suffer. So then you get the human predicament. Yeah? We all fight wars, and we think that wars solve problems. Yeah? Or if we don't fight a physical war, we do a verbal war. Yeah, we can yell and scream and let people know we're unhappy with them, can't we? We can go and slam the door behind us and say, I ain't going here, I can talk to you. Yeah, does that do any good? Does that behavior get us what we want? No, it makes us more miserable. It makes the other people more miserable. It inflames the conflict. And we do it again and again and again and again. Yeah, that's called stupidity. Yeah? So we're stupid. And we experience the result of our stupidity. Yeah? What this meditation is doing is completely changing that. We're not wishing other people suffering. We're wishing to experience their suffering. And we want to give them our happiness. So it's a very transformative meditation. It can push our buttons a lot. Yeah, because it's like, oh, I'm going to breathe in all this smoke, which is their misery. No, I don't want to do that. I want to do a meditation on light and love and bliss. I don't want to do this meditation taking on suffering. I want to do the meditation where I imagine the Buddha and the Buddhas filling me with light, purifying me. So now I have light and love and bliss. And just like all the New Age things promised for $99.99 special price for you, light and love and bliss. And Buddhism, I take on people's suffering and give them my happiness. Just even imagination, I don't want to think like that. But what it does, when we understand how karma works, is it helps us purify our negative karma. It helps us develop our ethical behavior. It helps us develop love and compassion for others, as well as for ourselves. We're not wishing ourselves suffering when we take on the suffering of others. Okay. So, in 1 hour, that was an overview of the Buddhist worldview. 1 hour and 3 minutes, excuse me. Okay. Any questions or comments? Yeah. The two of, yeah, okay. We're going to give you the mic. Yeah, there's a little button on the side that you got to press. It turns green. Hello.
Okay, I had written down, there is such an imbalance in the world. What if a tick has Lyme disease and is attached and bloated on my dogs? By twisting it off, it will die. What does that do for my karma?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, it is taking the life of the tick, but there's many ways to deal with situations like that without having to kill. Okay, there's ways of just, like when I have ticks, I just pull them out. It doesn't kill them. You just pull it out. Yeah. And wish it to live happily ever after somewhere else and become vegetarian. Yeah. Yeah. So it makes you think, things, difficult situations like this, what are creative ways to deal with difficulties besides my usual knee-jerk way of harming or retaliating or getting my way? Okay. Mm-hmm.
I have a beginner's question about karma.
Sure.
How do we know that this is the way karma works? So intuitively in the West, we think I can do something good, I can do something bad in the world, and it just dissipates into the world.
Yeah.
Alternatively, if something bad happens to me, it could be because the young monks didn't wash their hands, and that has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
How do we know that this is the way karma is?
Okay. Well, karma is what we call an extremely hidden phenomena. When we talk about our individual karma and the specific results of our individual actions. But when you learn kind of the principles about karma, it makes sense. Okay. For example, if we steal, we're going to be poor. It's like you make somebody else experience poverty. Makes sense that you experience poverty yourself later on. Yeah. You trash somebody and ruin their reputation. Well, somebody's going to do that to you. Okay. So we may not be able to see it because it's not a visible thing to see with our senses. Yeah. We often get too anchored to our 5 physical senses and forget that there's so much in the world that is not physical, that is not detectable by our senses. Yeah. And I mean, when you were little, your mom and dad probably taught you, don't hit other kids, because if you do, they're going to hit you back. Yeah. Now, you couldn't see that. There's not some law written somewhere, but it made sense to you. Yeah. So you tried not to hit other kids. And sure enough, gee, when you're nice to other people, they're kind of nice back to you. It works. Okay. But then there's always the thing of, well, why do horrible things happen to good people? Yeah, that's the big question. Well, what we call a good person, there's nobody except maybe the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who are 100% good. If you look at all of us, we are a hodgepodge of various mental states. Sometimes we are overflowing with kindness, and sometimes we are as stingy as can be. Sometimes we help other people, and sometimes we walk away and let them suffer. Okay? So in the karma that we've accumulated, we have the seeds of all sorts of actions that we've done. So we're not all good and we're not all bad. Okay, in terms of our motivations, there's all sorts of ones. Some are very virtuous and some are not, or the opposite. In terms of our actions, yeah. Anybody here never badmouthed somebody behind their back? Anybody here who's never gossiped? Anybody here who's never deliberately insulted somebody and wanting to hurt their feelings? So there we are. We have the seeds of those kind of actions on our mind stream. So depending on what karma ripens at a specific time. Yeah, you can be a person who is generally kind, but in a previous life or earlier this life, you did something really nasty, And then this lifetime, remember I said there's two ways in which our mind creates our experience. So we may have one way, the negative karma, but then in this lifetime, we do something. We have a negative mental state or something, and that acts as like water and fertilizer to make the seed of the previously created negative karma ripen. Okay. So, yeah. And you can see it in your life, when you do stupid things. Yeah, excuse me if I use the word stupid and accuse you of doing stupid things. I say the same thing about myself. So don't get offended. Or, well, it's your choice. You can get offended if you want to. If it's going to make you happy, go ahead. Okay. If you drink and drive, are you more likely to get in an accident than if you don't drink and drive? Yeah. So if you drink and drive, if you have the karma from harming somebody in the past, and that karma has the potential to ripen as a car accident, then you just set the stage. And all you need is another car. And wham, okay. Whereas in the same situation, at that party, you don't drink and drive, then that kind of karma isn't going to ripen. Okay. Now, that's not saying that everybody who doesn't drink and drive will not get in a car accident. We know that car accidents are, they happen quite freely. You don't have to do too much to make them happen. But at least from our side, we're not creating the circumstance where that's going to happen. Okay. Yeah. Pass it back.
What do you think is the type of karma that people who work doing like medical research, like for example, the people who are working on developing the COVID vaccines, many of those people work with animals. Yeah. What type of karma are these people accumulating, and what do you think the result is?
Yeah. Well, okay. Part of it is the action itself is killing. That's going to bring a bad result. Okay. But what is their motivation for doing the research? Yeah. We like to think it's so that they can help human beings recover from COVID. But that's not necessarily the motivation of all the researchers. It could be, I'll get, if I can develop the vaccine or cure COVID, I'll be famous. Yeah, they'll hire me. I'll get a really good job that pays a lot of money. And people will praise me and think that I'm wonderful. And I wouldn't mind a little bit praise and good status and some extra income. Yeah. Okay. So, people can do one action with a whole bunch of different motivations. And the motivation is actually the most important part of it. Yeah. This action of killing is something that's naturally negative for us ordinary beings. Yes, there will be some negativity. But if they really sincerely hope to save lives, that's something virtuous. So kind of mixed, isn't it? Yeah. If they just are looking for fame and gain, that's non-virtuous. Okay. Yeah.
What is a valid definition of self?
The strict definition of self or person, you won't understand, but I'll tell you anyway. It's what is merely designated in dependence upon the 4 or 5 aggregates. In other words, a person is what is designated, what is imputed on the basis of a body and mind. Yeah. So whenever there's a body and mind together, we say that's a person. So, in that way, our kitties are persons, the turkeys are persons. Yeah. Plants are not considered persons. They don't have consciousness. Okay, so we're going to stop now. Yeah. And resume tomorrow morning. Let's just take a minute, think about what you heard. Yeah. And, kind of what did you hear that you really want to think about some more and explore some more? And now let's dedicate. Do we have things on the...
May the spiritual teachers who lead me on the sacred path, and all spiritual friends who practice it, have long life. May I pacify completely all outer and inner hindrances. Grant such inspiration, I pray. May the lives of the venerable spiritual mentors be stable, and their virtuous actions spread in the 10 directions. May the light of wholesome teachings dispelling the darkness of the beings in the 3 worlds always increase. Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryatayami. Due to this merit, may we soon attain the awakened state of Guru Buddha, that we may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious Bodhi mind, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore.
So thank you very much, Venerable Chodron. And just a final message for those joining us online. There'll be the 5:30 meditation Pacific time tomorrow on Zoom. You can register for that and all the other meditations and discussion groups in the link in the chat box. And then the next teachings on YouTube will be at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning.
9 a.m. Pacific time.